What's up, everybody? It's your boy Siphon from Siphon TCG, and first of all, I want to say I'm a little bit under the weather, so forgive me if my voice cuts in and out a little bit and I don't strain my throat. It is mucho bad. But thank you guys for coming to my channel once again, and today we have our ProQuest Season 3 tier list by me, Siphon. Dynasty is officially here and it has officially affected the meta. How much so? Well, here's a picture of my last tier list. And as you can see, I was completely right, as I always am. But let's go ahead and get to this tier list. Alright, obviously, I am not going to rename the tiers. I do think these tiers are still very understandable. We will go ahead and just put the unplayable heroes in D, because if you show up to them, you have a 0% chance of winning. So let's start with Arachne. Where does Arachne go? Honestly, I think Arachne's in B. The reason why I think Arachne's in B is it's obviously a new deck, and I don't think the overall power level is like the power level of like these three decks. Like, they're not going to be, not that these decks came out of the wild, I mean Starvo did, but these aren't going to come out of the gate and start dominating the meta. It's going to take some time for us to understand Arachne, and maybe ProQuest Season 3 is the time where Arachne will shine. I personally think it'll do fine. It'll probably take home a few victories, but I do think that it will not be one of the top decks. Azalea. Honestly, I also put Azalea in B tier. I think Azalea did get enough tools to become a competitively viable deck. And if you guys seen my last video, the last podcast rather, I do predict Azalea will get her first Living Legend points in this ProQuest season. I just think her time has come to where, like, she has to win now. If she doesn't win now, I don't know when she's going to win. There's a lot of decks that she's good against that are in the meta. Azalea, this is your time. Okay? Bravo Showstopper. I also put this in B, and I think this is going to be a trend. A deck that has very good matchups, very bad matchups, kind of like the ones that we've already seen. And I think that's fine. I think that's where the majority of decks are. I think what keeps it from being in the A tier, where a lot of people most likely will have it, is I just think that Oldhim is just better. Now, we do have the on-demand dominate that Bravo does have, and certain on-hit effects against certain decks. Like, if you dominate a Spinal Crush, like, there's nothing that the 5 physically can do. If you dominate get against a Azalea or like a Ranger, there's nothing they can do. But if you dominate against a Kano, it doesn't really matter, right? So I think because stuff like that, we won't see as much Bravo, and I think Bravo might take a couple of victories, but I don't think it'll be a huge deck. Briar, I personally think is an S. I think people forgot about Briar a little bit at Worlds, but then, or before Worlds rather, everyone was just saying, oh, it'll LO. Well, she didn't LO. Now, whether it's her fault or because of the meta, I don't really know personally. I really thought Briar would have at least taken one victory, but unfortunately she didn't. But that also means she is here, and she doesn't have this amount of Living Legend points for no reason. She's an ultra powerful deck, and I think that's the thing that sets her apart from every other aggro deck, is the fact of how well she can block. Let's compare Briar to Fi and Dash. These are very glass cannon aggro decks. They can output just as much damage as Briar, if not more, except maybe on a CMH turn with a 5-card hand. But what Briar can do, they can't. Briar can be like, here's this block 4, here's this other block 4, absorb 8 damage in a turn, still come back with something. Fi's like, here's 2 cards, and here's whatever's in my hand. Dash is just like, hopefully I have a Techno Core, or I'm not really doing much this turn. Briar just has the ability to switch to that mid-range value plan against the other aggro decks. And the fact that she packs Arcane Barrier, and if these decks get very greedy, like for example, if Vi gets greedy and doesn't bring any Arcane Barrier, he will lose that matchup. There actually should be a gameplay either on my channel or on my channel soon of this exact reason why you should bring Arcane Barrier, even as an aggro deck against Briar. Rosetta Thorn, Rune Chance will decide that matchup. The matchup will be like 5-0, and that 5 damage could have easily been in your favor if you would have brought Arcane Barrier, and I think that's one of the big reasons why Briar also is going to be up top. People are not going to bring enough Arcane Barrier against Briar. Dash, I think Dash is an high A. I think the reason why she's not an S is because how Glass Cannon she is. This is talking about aggro. I'll get into Control Dash in a minute. We have seen Dash in the first tournament, which was... I actually don't remember where the first tournament was post-Dynasty. I want to say Philadelphia, but I could be wrong on that. But Dash did take it away. Dash, actually, I believe got 3 of the top 8 spots. I know at least 2. It was a Dash mirror in the finals. So we do know Dash, with all the tools from Dynasty, is a legit deck. But we've seen this before from Dash, where a new meta pops up, boom, Dash takes over, whoa. But then we've seen Dash go down. And I fear that we could be in that same loop around, but at least right now, I think Dash is on the rise, and Dash is hot right now. I think, again, the tools from Dynasty really did flesh her out and help her out, which I personally didn't really think Dash needed that much. I just think she needed the right meta to be successful, but I definitely don't think she's going to hate these cards. But like I said, her biggest flaw is she's a very Glass Cannon. She can easily be fatigued. If she gets to her second cycle and she really didn't pitch correctly, she pitched a lot of blues, she's not doing any damage. And that's why I think probably you should go hybrid if anything else. Personally, I'm a control fan, but I think for the average player, I think hybrid is a little bit better, so you actually do have a backup plan and can't just get starved out late game. By example, a Briar or an Arachne, that can just be a little bit more value-centric than you can. Now, going on to Control Dash. The Control Dash is what I'm going to be playing for the majority of the PQ season. I think it is just a powerful deck. I think its matchups are pretty good. I think the only bad matchup really is Phi, and I think I have personally, this is me personally, I've gotten the matchup down to where I can get Phi in the single digits, and I've almost gotten kill range. Like, I know 2 times in a 1K event recently, within the last month, I got Phi down to less than 6 life, and if I just get turn pass back even with 1 card in hand, he's dead or just gets fatigued out pretty much. But unfortunately, through some mistakes of my own, I lost. But this is the nature of the Phi matchup. You have to play this matchup super perfectly. Also, the Phi does have to stumble a little bit because I think the average Phi deck has enough damage to get through them out that you can block. But it also depends on how they play against you. I think unexperienced Phis against you, as a Control Dash, I think you can win. But any seasoned Phi player, I think, will know when to pick their spots and not just try to explode their hand every single turn. They really want to get to that second cycle because you're not killing Dash in the first cycle. It's not going to happen. So you really want to set up that second cycle. But again, against most decks, I think Dash is favored or at least even. Going on the control side, there's also way too much life gain in for a lot of decks. I will actually say, one matchup that I haven't actually tested enough is Wizard, and specifically Kano with the new stuff from Dynasty. Unfortunately, I've been trying to get games against Kano, and there's not been a lot of competent Kano players. So unfortunately, I haven't got a lot of testing there, but I think that matchup is still fine, but hold out on that one. I know that was a lot about Dash, but it's probably the deck I've had the most experience with in the last like 2 months, so I can speak a lot about it. Dorinthia, I think Dorinthia's just average right now. She obviously got help in Dynasty, but I don't think it sets her over the edge. I don't think it makes her like a higher tier deck than she was before. I think I have seen some interesting builds with the Jubilee Spellblade, which I didn't end up uploading it, but my Dynasty reactions, I called it the worst card in the set. And I still don't think it's fantastic, but I've seen multiple people run it to some success. There actually might be I think there should be a gameplay coming up Maybe that one's not getting, did not get recorded, but there was a Jubilee Dromai that I had a very good game against as Kano. And it put in work. Obviously, it was Kano, but I'm talking about like just the way the build worked. I obviously think they would have done better with Dawnblade, but they were still doing warrior things with Jubilee Soulblade, so maybe she does have legs with multiple versions, and I do think Axe Dorinthia is something that should be explored. I think it has a higher ceiling than any dagger or sword Dorinthia, but its floor is obviously much lower. Dromai. Dromai is so weird for me, man. Like, there's times I want to put it here, there's times I want to put it here, and like, I think it might be just be common to put in B, but like, I think the only deck she's super favored against is Wizard. And I mean specifically Kano, because Icelander has gotten the matchup to a closer percentage, and we've seen multiple Icelanders beat Dromai on camera. Now, there is this new Mono Red Hot Dromai that's going around, and I think that version is probably the best version to currently play in the PQ season. However, I will leak out there. There are some teams out there, and I think some of this stuff might be public already. I've seen some videos and some talk about it. About Iris Dromai. Iris Dromai is something I briefly do want to talk about, and there should be a video coming out soon on my channel within the next week or so. I think it might have legs. I don't think it's a contender at the moment, but I think once we flush out the list, I think Iris Dromai might actually be a playable deck. I honestly think it might be. It's obviously really good in the Odom. I mean, it's good in the things that Prism was good in too, because you're pretty much doing the Prism thing, but just a little bit worse. But we will see as the time comes if that version of the deck does take off. I still think Fi's an S. I don't see any evidence of Fi losing tiers. Yeah, he didn't really get anything from Dynasty, but what did he need? What did you want to give this monstrosity of a deck? I don't really think anybody really wanted to give him anything, and and his bad matchups didn't get as many tools as they really needed to combat him. I think he's still up here, and tougher than otherwise. I still think Icelander's S tier. She's good. Yeah, again, just like Fi, didn't get anything from Dynasty really. But what did she need? She was already the best deck in the format. Just play Icelander. If you want to play Wizard, I would 100% at least look at Icelander, unless you're a Scamble aficionado. I think this is a very interesting deck that can be played multiple ways. I still believe Bullander is probably the most preferred way to play, even though it's my personal not favorite version, but I can still respect that it is the version putting up the best results. And of course, it is what Michael Hamilton won Worlds with, so it's got to have something. And then the Battle Horde, I believe, had 2 Icelanders on top of it. I believe it was Brody and Yanji. Icelanders put up results in Dynasty. I don't know what to tell you. She is not going away as much as people want her to go away. Kano, this is so weird, man. Alright, let me put it two ways. If you're playing the Brainstorm Kano deck that Tog came out with, it's down here. Deck's bad, deck's fun, but deck's bad. If you're playing traditional combo Kano, I do think you actually do have some legs in this format. I think he has some pretty good matchups, and he's a little more consistent now and can output a lot more damage more consistently. And I think Brandon Patrick brought up a good point against Kano, and part of me wishes he didn't really say this, but obviously, like, he is a person that doesn't mind giving information out, and I really don't either. But one of the reasons people can struggle against Kano is they don't properly bring the right tools. They like to bring things like no-run gloves, no-run hood, and all that stuff. And Dromai has like natural AB, right? But outside of Dromai, I don't think bringing a crap ton of AB is where you want to be at. I think what the smart people are doing and it's what I was trying to do, but obviously it's a little hard to naturally pack it in every single deck. But if we can, I think we should. Is Spell Void. Spell Void is much better than AB, and I'll tell you why. Kano wants you to pay mana on his turn. He wants you to take cards in your hand on his turn. So when you go to your turn, you have 1 or 2 cards in hand. And now you have even less defense than you had before. And he can easily pop off. But if you have Spell Void, you don't have to pay. That's the reason why I think Aang Lightning hero is a pretty good. Light hero has Spell Void as well. I think that's first one about. Like obviously for Dromai, I think it's fine because you have natural AB. You're not actually sacrificing a whole lot, and Kano really can't interact with your game plan. Any of your game plans really. But as far as everyone else, if you have the ability to either race Kano or put Spell Void in your deck, I definitely would. Hold on. I still kind of want to put Kano in C though. He is a hard deck to do at the end of the day. Yeah, I think I still have to put him here. I would love to personally put him higher. Well, I think one of the other things holding him back is it's still a very hard deck. You can't just be like, I buy Kano deck today, by the end of the week I master Kano. No. You buy Kano deck today, in a few months you're a master. And even then, you're still going to be learning stuff. Alexander Vor, best Kano player in the world, still does not play Kano perfectly. He will say himself, he will see lines later in the game they didn't see before. It's a hard deck. Katsu. I think Katsu is in B. Can maybe move to A, maybe on C. I think he's a very fringe deck. I'm personally not really a believer in the Kitty Cat version. Actually, I'm gonna put him in C. I'm just not a believer, man. Like I've seen it pop off. I've seen it do crazy things, but I've also seen it do literally nothing. Many games. I still think Katsu has a similar problems they did last format. He just now has a flashier combo. I think it's just all flash and sparkle. But I'm not being proven wrong. Katsu was my first hero and a hero that I hold dear to my heart. But objectively speaking, I don't think there will be a ton of success for Katsu in this format. Levia. I genuinely just think this hero's trash. I don't see a reason that you should be playing Levia unless you are Mansant. If you're a Mansant, you can play Levia. If you're not Mansant, do not touch this deck, or I will call a judge and tell them that I concede to you. Because clearly, the only way you will get anything above 0 wins is me conceding to you. You will not. Just don't play Levia. I'm sorry, League of Levia. I'm sorry if you guys seeing this, but just don't play Levia. Lexi, I gotta put Lexi in C, man. I think Lexi usually is always B and A, but I think in this meta, I think Azalea actually is the better ranger. Weirdly enough, like a hero with no talent is better than a hero with a talent. But I just think the things that Azalea can currently do and the tools and how she uses those tools are a little bit better than Lexi is using. Lexi can't really use all the cards that was given to us in Dynasty, but I think Azalea can use all of them. Doesn't play all of them, but can use all of them very effectively. Well, having 6 red and ledgers in the deck is nuts, by the way, for Azalea, so I'll point that out. Fortunately, Lexi can't do that. But hopefully Lexi will have her time to shine. I think the big thing with Lexi you gotta realize is she's never going to be the problem in a format. She's never going to be up here. And it's because her tools aren't made to do that. Her tools are to answer the people up here. She's always going to be a solution. She's the calculator. She's not the problem with the calculator, she is the calculator. That was a horrible analogy, by the way, but I don't care. You can play Lexi if you want to attack a specific deck. Like if you specifically want to attack Fi, Briar, Dash, and just hope to dodge like everything else, you can, and you have a successful Lexi. But the unfortunate reality of the world, we're not in a tier 0 format where you're only going to be facing those, so building that way is kind of unreliable. Odom, I think Odom's solidly an A. I think he does take a step down from his S that he's been in for a while. I just think other decks are better right now. Odom did get a few tools, and I think his deck list is largely the same. I think the thing he's missing most is obviously the post ban. but this is pre-Worlds that the Pulse ban. We have lived without the Pulse ban for a while, and we've seen Oldhim is still good. I know a lot of people thought Oldhim is dead, trying to sell their decks. No, Oldhim is still Oldhim. He's still this guy, but better. He's still this guy, but worse. It's funny. Speaking of Oldhim, someone that's here to clap Oldham's cheeks. I'm gonna make a very bold prediction. I'm putting Rhinar in A. I am putting Rhinar in A. I genuinely think he is a good deck now, and let me tell you why. I think if you looked at both Brutes last format, I think Levia was the better deck, only because her card pool was better. She had a really good card pool, but obviously Rhinar had more success because it's hard to explain. Like, I think Levia's cards were better, but Rhinar's play patterns and gameplay was better, which is why he actually had more success. But now Rhinar pretty much got what all the cards that Levia has, like the go agains and the more benefit from discarding. And he claps Guardians. He can raise Fi. There's some of the decks I don't know a whole lot about, and I might actually start by dissing some Rhinar. I don't really know how his Icelander and Briar and Dash matchup are, but I would probably say he can do fine against the aggro decks. The Icelander, I think he might have some issues in, depending on how he has his deck built. If he's a very combo focused, Blush Bellow, Berserker version of the deck, he might struggle, but if it's just a very clean mid-range version, I think he can do fine. But I think he'll definitely take some W's this meta. I really do. Bolton, I love you, man. You're better than Levy. How about this? Here, I'm gonna put you all over here, bro. I'm gonna put Bolton all over here. Unfortunately, Bolton's still not good. Unless your name is Josh Lau. Unless your name is Isaac Stanley, aka Siphon, aka Siphon TCG. Don't play Bolton. He's not good. I do like Spirit. I do like the new Spirit that we got. I think Bolton definitely improved, but I don't think he improved enough to go to the C tier. Because I think if you're at the C tier, I definitely think like you can rely. So like, hold on, let me break down these tiers for some context. I think these are the top dogs in the meta. I think these are the ones that are going to be winning the most games. I think these are the ones to be taking the majority of the ProQuest wins. I think A is going to be slightly behind them. You'll definitely see these in top 8s and winning. B is you can take this and be fine. Obviously, if you have a lot of games on it and you're a master on it, you'll take wins. But obviously, I think it's a step below. And that's just the general thing of the tier list. Is just everything down here is worse than everything up here. Yada yada yada. C tier is more or less like, unless you're a master of this deck or you just run extremely hot, I doubt you're going to have much success. So I think Bolton is a hero that if you have a lot of reps, and a lot of people that you're playing doesn't, which is very common. A lot of people don't face Bolton a lot. I think you can have success, but Bolton still does run to the problem that if your opponent knows how to play against the combo well, or if you play against Icelander or Oldhim, you are going to struggle. I think pre-national season, I think you could have played Bolton and done pretty good. Because no one knew how to play against Bolton, but like now people have at least seen Bolton from a few players. I know like every big tournament I've played Bolton and done pretty well. Almost top 8ing a few. Obviously Josh Lau is taking him to big tournaments, posting content, so like the cat's out of the bag. Obviously you'll still run into your average Timmy that doesn't know what any of Bolton's cards do. They'll literally ask you, what does charge mean? And then you gotta break that down. But I don't think that Bolton just has enough tools to be a competitive deck. What does he need? I personally don't know. That's a whole different discussion, but he just does not have that now. Last hero is Viserai. I think Viserai's still good, guys. I think Viserai is getting slept on just because I think Briar has a resurgence. Fi had a resurgence during national season. Dash is on the up and up right now. People forgot about Viserai, but you know what people are not going to forget about? Here's 12 arcane, here's 12 physical. Deal with this now. Or, hey, here's a Marvin Skies, here's a 4 go again, create rune chance, send 4 arcane on the back, swing another 7, go again, swing 4, 2 arcane, 2 physical. Like, split damage is one of the most hardest things to combat, and that's literally all Viscerai is, a split damage. Your opponent will always be wrong. Whether they block the physical, they'll take the arcane. They try to take the arcane, they can't, they can't block the physical. I just think one of Viscerai's problems is his other heroes are just better. I think that is like the big sum up of A and B, is these decks are good. It's just there were heroes better. Like these B heroes are good. The heroes above are just better. Same thing with A. These heroes above are just better. But I think if you're Viscerai, you're not really going to lose to anything below you here. Maybe you can lose to Azalea if she runs pretty hot. Bravo if he high rolls you. But outside of the rest, I don't really think you're losing to most of these heroes. I think your matchup into most of the A tier heroes are definitely winnable. You're going to struggle against like these heroes. I think these heroes are just better than you. But for the most part, I think you're very competitive in this format, and people just need to remember Viscerai's the deck. So that's going to be the video, guys. Tell me what you guys think. Do you guys agree? You guys disagree? Tell me in the comment section down below. If you guys are on Twitch watching this, go ahead and follow that stream. That'd be greatly appreciated. If you guys are on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like button, comment down below, subscribe, you know, all that. Help me out, guys. The more you help me, the more I can give you guys content. It's been your boy Siphon from Siphon TCG. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.